What's up YouTube? Welcome to the channel. Today, as you may have saw by the thumbnail and by the title of this video, we're going to talk about watering. Look at that cool little rainbow right there. That's awesome. So I am currently watering my backyard. So I want to get into what I do. I want to talk about watering established lawns, some of the information I found online, because Mr. Ferguson does not know everything, as I tell you guys all the time. But we want to go over what the most common practices are, what we need to look for, when does our lawn need water, how much water do we need to apply to our lawn, and let's get into it, and let's make sure we keep our lawns living through this summer. What's up YouTube? It's Mr. Ferguson here once again. Thank you guys for coming back for another video here in Central North Carolina. As you saw in the intro, wow, the wind blows. I got my water going on behind me. When the wind blows, we may get a little wet here, but it's okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. We want to talk about watering. Somebody made a suggestion on one of my videos previously, so all credit to whoever that commenter was. I can't remember who it was, but they said, Mr. Ferguson, could you show us what you do as far as watering? And I think that would be fair. I've not talked about it. It's something I'm not so versed in as far as watering. I've shared my opinions and things, but we're going to get into a little bit today. I looked up a little bit of research and a little bit of things online and want to share with you. And a lot of the things that I looked up and saw are a lot of the things I've shared with you already. So as my sprinkler goes on behind me, we've been in the 90s this week. We're going to be in the 90s probably for the next 2 months or so here in Central NC, but it's time to start watering our lawns. If you guys are up north, if you're out west, then this heat has not truly hit you guys yet like it has us here in North Carolina. You need to be thinking about this. You need to be prepared. If this is the first time, the first season, the first summer you're going into with a lawn, you do need to consider, okay, there's some things I need to learn about how to water, when to water, what are the signs for watering. So I've got a little sticky note here just to feed off of so I don't blab and get way off subject. But let's talk about when grass needs to be watered. Okay, Mr. Ferguson, when do I need to water my grass? Well, number one, and I didn't even write this down, what is the rain like in your area and your location? We've talked about that several times here on my channel. When we're not getting Jesus rain, is what I call it, natural rain from the clouds, and it's been several days, then it's like, okay, we're not getting rain. It's been 2 weeks. What are the temperatures like? Is the wind is a factor also in moisture in our ground. You know, what are the signs for I need to break out the sprinklers, turn on the irrigation system, and pump water manually into my lawn because it's not coming from the sky? So one of the 2 signs that I was looking up, there's 2 things that you can see visually: color and also the curling of the blades. We've talked about the curling a lot, and I've shown you pictures. I may still have a picture here of the curling of the blades. You see the grass shrivels up. It makes that C shape. It curls up. It's skinnier. It's thinner. It's not fat and open and like, oh, I'm like it's laying out in the sun. It curls up. It makes a C shape when you look down on top of it, but also the color. It gets like this darker green. Some people say it's like a gray green color, and you can see that even some grass will die off. We showed you the Jonathan Green Solar Green up by my road. It could have been so lacking water in a period of time that some of that just died off because it's lacking water. So color change. It can turn the brown color. It can, now some of that brown color, some of that amazingly can come back and come back to life after a good heavy cool rain or a good watering. You can save it, but we can see yellowing, we can see browning, and also we can see the curling of the blades. Now, there is a test that I looked up that you can do that they call it the step test. I don't know if I've ever heard this from a video, but the step test is when you walk through your lawn. You know how when you mow and you're walking through your lawn, if you turn around and look at your steps, you can see where you stepped, right? And your grass, your fescue lays down, right? Well, the step test is that this grass should quickly start recovering. Now, what is the definition of quickly? I don't know, but I would think within a minute or so after you turn around and look at the steps where you just took through your lawn. Through this information I was getting online, they say the step test involves that grass quickly just recovering. It shouldn't lay back down. It shouldn't make a hole in your yard. If you're seeing it just mash down several minutes after you walk through your lawn, that is a sign that you may have, it's not holding the moisture that it should pop back up and the grass, and you should not be able to see really exactly where you walk through the lawn after a minute or two. So that is the step test. When to water. So there's always a debate about this. And again, everything I'm saying here, I'm not going to cover everything about watering. I'm not going to cover your specific situation possibly. I'm just giving you my highlights that I think is important to share on a watering type video. So as I've got it going on behind me, I am currently filming this before 10 o'clock. It's earlier in the morning. And so when to water, as I was talking with Grass Factor and doing their podcast, their recommendations was between 5 a.m. in the morning and 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And they said, you don't want to go after 2 p.m. because why? Disease. We can not only will evaporation is going to occur, the later in the day that we water, the sun is out, depending on your sun cover and how much sun your lawn is getting. Every location, every lawn is not going to be the same, and everybody fit into the same box. But depending on how much sun you're getting, evaporation can occur. Now, the later in the day after 2 p.m. that we're running our sprinklers and the sun is starting to set and go down, and it's not full sun, and that water doesn't have a great chance to soak in before nighttime comes, then we're introducing more disease into our lawn. Same thing for early in the morning before 5 o'clock. If you're setting your sprinklers to come on at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., you want to do it more in the morning time between 5 a.m. and 2 p.m. as recommended by Grass Factor. Now, there's some that say you can go between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. And yes, you don't want to totally drench it, but some people will recommend that. I don't think that's a smart idea. After talking with Grass Factor, I would say probably don't do that. But the caveat to what I'm telling you is if you're working all day and you're coming home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and you see discolorization in your lawn, you're seeing the curling of the grass blades, by all means, if you're thinking, hey, screw it, you know, I have to risk disease, I've done some prevention with propiconazole and azoxystrobin and other fungicides, I'm just going to have to water because that's the only time I can do it, Mr. Ferguson. Absolutely. Then that's why these are general rules that we want to do it more in the morning time. We want to get our watering in during the day so the lawn can absorb more instead of evaporation happening. But if the only time you can water your lawn is after work at 5 o'clock, then you got to do what you got to do. Just know that you're more prone for disease when we're watering at nighttime. So know that. The last thing I want to cover here is how much water do we need to apply to our lawn. Now, of course, I had to look this up because you guys know my situation. I am on city water. I do not have a well. Hats off to all of you that have a well. You are so privileged, but that can also be a bad thing. We'll talk about that in a second. But you have access to water your lawn whenever you want and as much as you want, where all of this money you're seeing, you see that rainbow? Yeah, I need a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow because I got word from Mr. Kevin across the street. They're going to raise our water rates yet again this year. They're going to push for it again. They raised it by $10 from the base rate last year, and we're here and they may do another $10 to $85 per 2,000 square feet for my lawn is what they're pushing for now. It's currently at 75, but they're pushing to go to 85. It's insane just to water my lawn. It's taken an arm and a leg and half my paycheck to water my lawn and keep it alive. So again, you need to budget for it. You need to say, okay, is my lawn that special to me that I'm willing to? Do we have the money? We don't want to take food out of our children's mouths. We don't want to not be able to go on vacation. To me, that you have to put your lawn in priority of other things first. You got a budget, and if you've got the budget, you got the money, you got the resources, then you can do this if you're on city water like me. But to get back to it, we want to water the first 6 to 8 inches of our soil. We're not looking to drench it all night, overnight, 24 hours, run your sprinklers and get every single bit. But the first 6 to 8 inches of soil is what we want to water. Well, that makes sense when I looked that up because that's where the roots are mainly at. You know, Jonathan Green, one of their marketing talks or pitches is that they can get 4 foot deep roots or more. And so we want deep roots. Why? Because it's getting that deep moisture. And so we're trying to water the first 6 to 8 inches of our soil. And what we want to do, according to what I was looking up, was we want to do 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water per week. Now, as I say, an inch and a half water per week. Well, how do I know how to do that? There's all these formulas. You can buy gauges to go on your faucet that you can set for a certain amount of gallons. There's tons of information you can look up, but the recommendation is an inch to an inch and a half per week. Now, if you're getting rainfall, you're getting natural rain, and you need a rain gauge to be able to tell, okay, Mr. Kevin said last week we got over 3 inches. I got enough for 2 weeks. But how much is wind playing a factor? Wind also blowing in our lawn. If you're a very windy area, that will dry out your lawn as well. That's a factor. So even if you got 3 inches last week, if it's a windy area you're in, you could dry out a lot of that top moisture very quickly, more so than where I'm at, where I'm surrounded by trees and coverage, and we don't have a windy area here. That moisture may last a little longer. So we're talking about wind as a factor. Also, the rain that you're getting is a factor. And so if you're not getting that rain, if this week, like this week, that's why I've got the sprinklers out behind me right now, we've not gotten rain since the end of last week. I want to get ahead of those dry spots. I want to get ahead of the curling of the blades. I don't even want to go there. So we've got it set out. Now, how do you measure it, Mr. Ferguson? Well, a lot of people, and I don't think I got it here. I don't have it here right now, but a tuna can. They always say a tuna can, and you want to measure an inch. So if you stick it in there between, you know, take a little tape measure, how tall is my tuna can? And I don't have it, and I apologize for that. But if your tuna can is an inch, inch and a half, there you go. You want to set it out there, and you want to see that get full. And that will tell you how much water is actually getting on the ground, not how much time, like I do, which is not the proper way, how much time I set my sprinkler out there. Well, I'm going to give it 40 minutes. Well, how much is that? It depends on your water pressure. It depends on how much it's putting out. The wind is also blowing. Are you getting the right areas? So to properly measure it, you want an inch to an inch and a half, and you can use any type of cup that is an inch tall, and obviously you just want to make sure you fill that up before you would move the sprinkler. The caveat to that, if it takes an hour for me to fill up a tuna can, there's no way I'm going to let my sprinkler sit there for an hour and spend all of that money. My wife would kill me, and we don't have the money. And so that's why in my particular situation, like many of you out there, city water is so expensive. I don't have the resources to be able to properly give it maybe an inch and a half all the time. I'm doing Band-Aid runs to just get it to the next rainfall. Okay, it looks like we might have rain in the beginning of next week. Well, let me do some watering, some good watering, about 30 minutes worth, and let me see, and I need to properly measure to see, okay, how much is 30 minutes of running this sprinkler behind me actually putting out in the lawn. That's also important. And lastly, don't overwater, because then we have an issue there. If you're on a well, and this is why I noticed or said to you earlier, having a well could also be problematic if you're constantly running your irrigation, if you're constantly putting your sprinklers out there every single day and running them. Well, guess what? Your water never has a chance to seep into the soil. It never has a chance to go down deep into the soil. Like we said, the first 6 to 8 inches is where we're trying to get water to. Well, if you're constantly throwing water on it every morning, every other day, and it's just and it's always mushy and moist out in your lawn, that's terrible for your lawn. Please stop doing that. You don't need to do that. Your roots are not going to want to dive deep into the ground to that 8-inch mark to get the water. It's going to turn around and say, oh, well, the water's up here on the surface. And so your roots are going to be shallow. And then when you get a lot of heat, and then when you're out of town or when you don't water, it's going to totally mess up your grass. Has been trained to stay at shallow root level, not deep root level, where it's firm in the foundation of your soil in the 6 to 8 inches. Wow, there's a devotional there from the Bible, but we're not going to go there on this video. So if you're overwatering, that's also terrible. Even though you got well water, you want to do it 1 to 1.5 inches in every section of your lawn per week. If you're getting the rain, praise you, Lord, we don't have to do it because you've sent natural rain. But if not, that's where we want to go. And you can use a probe, like a soil probe that we use for soil tests, and do a probe test in your lawn after you water. Say, okay, how deep did I get that watering? Come back, an hour or two after you do this watering, put your probe in the ground, 6 to 8 inches. You can take a little tape measure, measure it out. How deep did I get that water? Wow, we only got it, I only got water down to about 3 inches. That was not enough watering. You can check it that way as well. Not only a surface measurement with a tuna can, but also with a probing rod. So again, this is not covering everything with watering. And as you guys know, I like to skimp a little bit on my watering because it's so dang expensive. And I'm not willing to save my lawn at all costs. I'm not willing to do it personally. I'm not. I would rather have my lawn die off not worry about it. Let's go at it again next year. Enjoy vacation with my children, my daughters, be able to take them out, not pump money into my lawn, but pump it into what matters in life, which is more my family, my children, my beautiful wife. And so that's just my opinion. You need to budget these things out. If you're like, I'm gonna make it no matter what, I don't care what it costs me. If you've got the money to do it, man, go for it. But these are just the tips on basic watering, basic things. And that's what I tell you guys about my channel. We're here to teach the basics. We're here for the intermediate to beginner lawn care people like myself. And you can always listen to other experts that will give you the formulas of dragging the sprinklers, of doing irrigation. There's so much more to this topic. And so as you guys see behind me, we're working on the air. This is my air sprinkler here, but to get back here by the shed and underneath this tree and stuff, different type of sprinklers may also need to be used in your lawn. I have another one that's about this wide, and it's a ground sprinkler. It spreads it out wide, and it doesn't go in the air, it spreads it out. So to prevent limbs from getting it, like this air sprinkler I got, what I say, it's an air sprinkler, we're gonna use the ground one for other areas. So you may need multiple sprinklers for your lawn as well, depending on the trees and foliage. So I hope this has helped somebody. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's great. I think this is the first video we've talked about watering, and it's well overdue for my channel, but I hope that it helps somebody. If you've already know Mr. Ferguson, I know all this stuff. What do you think? I'm an idiot. I don't mean to insult anyone's intelligence. This is for maybe the one or two out there that says, thank you, I didn't think about that. I didn't know how much to do. I don't have time to research this stuff. Thank you, Mr. Ferguson, for bringing this. You're very welcome. Let me know in the comments below if it helped you. If you learned one thing, let me know in the comments below. And obviously our veterans out there, give us some of your tips also on watering and what your tips and tricks are for the lawn. Thank you guys so much for watching on this Friday. I'm currently, as you're watching this, at a golf tournament. Pray that I'm hitting the wedges well, hitting my stealth driver well. I'll give you a rundown on that Monday. God bless you. We'll see you next time.